Welcome back to Cloud 2K, and this is the Cloud Report. So today on the Cloud Report, we're talking about the Phoenix Suns, a team that is right now 11th in the Western Conference. They just beat the Jazz last night as I'm recording this, but the Jazz are 9-27, 9-28. They're tanking for a top pick in this draft. Beating the Jazz at this point in time doesn't mean anything. They're not very good. There's a lot of issues going on with the Phoenix Suns, and I think something that this is a bit of a fruition of what a lot of people expect. Not maybe they're a lot worse than I think a lot of people expected them to be, but the issues they're having is something that we've seen coming for a little bit. This is a team with Kevin Durant, one of the best players of all time, one of the best scorers, if not the best scorer of all time. Devin Booker, who year in, year out is one of the best, if not the best shooting guard in the entire league, probably a future Hall of Famer. You got Bradley Beal, who, at one point in time was a 30-point per game scorer in Washington and looked at to be a franchise guy and that he could really be a staple, like maybe one of the best third options in the entire league on this Phoenix Suns team. You got some decent point guard play finally. They brought in some point guard play with Tyus Jones, with Monte Morris, or something they've struggled with the past couple years since Chris Paul has been gone. You bring in Nurkic, who, you were hoping kind of a dirty work center, get some rebounds, play some decent defense. Has not really done that. The bench, Royce O'Neal's a fine role player. Ryan Dunn's been pretty good. They drafted him this year. You look at their other rookies like Osa. You look at Mason Plumlee, who's now starting in the place of Bradley or of Yusuf Nurkic. It's not very good. This team is not very. Grayson Allen, of course. I can't forget about Grayson Allen. Usually one of the better shooters in this entire league. Just not a very good team. And the thing is, there's not really anything they can do about this because at this point in time, I believe they're fully in the second apron and they're linked to Jimmy Butler. Now, the thing about Jimmy Butler is that whole situation I've been talking about for the past week on this channel is that he makes about $49 million. The only way they get Jimmy Butler to go to Phoenix, get traded to Phoenix, is trading Bradley Beal back to the Miami Heat. But we all know Bradley Beal has that no trade clause, so he can basically say, no, I don't want to get traded there. Now, would that be a smart thing to do if I was Bradley Beal? Probably not, because what happens if your team's trying to make a trade, you're trying to send you to Miami so that Jimmy Butler can come to Phoenix and, in your mind, hopefully help them win more, but Bradley Beal's like, no, I'm good, I want to stay. Then he has to show up to practice the next day, look at all of his teammates, his coach, and be like, yeah, I'm the reason we're not getting Jimmy Butler, and theoretically, I guess I should say, getting better. So I don't know if there's a world where Bradley Beal says no to a trade. I guess if they want to send him to the Jazz or which I don't think they would, but if they want to send him to a team that's really, really bad, I'm sure he could probably say no. But to Miami, he might say yes. Him and Tyler Hero in the backcourt isn't exactly game breaking, but it would be decent. He would get more of an opportunity in Miami with behind Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo not having the best season. I guess, and then Jimmy Butler on the Phoenix Suns, I don't really look at it as, are they contenders? Do you really look at a lineup of Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, and either Plumlee or Nurkic, whoever they want to play in there at the 5, and then a bench that's just Monte Morris, Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, either Mason Plumlee or Nurkic, whichever one's not starting would then be off the bench. They have some it's I don't see this team as a contender, which is crazy because if you say you have Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, and Kevin Durant on a team, you're probably being looked at as contenders, you would assume, but they're just not playing like it right now. I don't know what they're going to do. They have to make something happen at this trade deadline. They have to blow up this trade deadline, and I just don't know where it comes from. So they fire Frank Vogel, who last season was, I think Frank Vogel's a pretty damn good coach. I think he's got the short end of the stick on a couple different situations. They bring in Mike Budenholzer, who, as you know, has won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, 3-ish years ago at this point in time. They started off 8-1. Kevin Durant was looking like the best player, one of the best players, an MVP candidate. And then he had some injuries. I believe it was calf injury. And then I think Devin Booker missed some time. Bradley Beal's missed quite a bit of time. And now they're 9-8, or I guess technically they won. They're 10-18 since that 8-1 start, which obviously is not very good. They're down to the 11th seed. What do? Well, their response to this skid is to bench Bradley Beal, to bench Yusuf Nurkic, who Bradley Beal, I think, is getting a little bit underrated in the sense of, obviously he's not his 30-point per game self, but, I think the hate on Bradley Beal is starting to get a little bit to the point where he's still a good basketball player. Is he great? Is he worth that $50 million? No, but he's still a good basketball player, and I think a lot of people are saying online that like, oh, he's bad, which is it's not the case. He's still a good player. The contract's crazy. He's just not fitting in on the team right now. They also have like a top 3 to top 5 most expensive roster in the league, which you're gonna have with Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant. The thing is, they also traded a lot of their first round picks away in multiple of these trades for Kevin Durant, for Bradley Beal. So it's like, what do? You have a very, very bad bench unit. Like outside of the big three, I'm going to use with quotations. They're bad outside of that, and I use the quotations on the big three because on the court together, the three of them have not figured out a way to mesh that well. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant a lot better than the addition of Bradley Beal. Adding Bradley Beal, the three of them have been kind of struggling to figure that out. But we also saw some time where Durant and Booker looked pretty decent on the court together, which makes sense. Devin Booker's definitely taken a step back this season in a sense of not like, he's not worse. I don't want to like say he's a worse player by no means, but you've definitely tell he's like more into that like that passive role, that like, kind of what he did at Team USA. He's locked in, I think, a little bit more defensively this year. He's been a better playmaker. I think he's taken that real step back to be the number 2 option on the team, which I guess when you have Kevin Durant, it's hard not to be the 2 option on your team, right? But Devin Booker, the Phoenix Suns are Devin Booker's team. He's been there for damn near, it's been like 10 years now. He's been there. That is his team. They need him taking all the shots. And he has games where he kind of locks back into that version of himself and he looks really, really good again. Then you run into the unfortunate, it's like, okay, Bradley Beal's probably not giving you much value unless you can somehow convince him to be a part of the Miami Heat Jimmy Butler trade. But then again, I don't think Jimmy Butler makes you contenders. Your other option is to look at this team, realize you don't have first-round picks, you don't have good role players, and you trade Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. Because I think if you trade one of them, you're trading both of them. I think you're kind of resetting if that's the case, and then you're just kind of have to figure out something with Bradley Beal in the future. And I don't think this Suns team wants to kind of go into a rebuild, even though they're kind of on the fringe of it right now because they're not a good... They're kind of a balt, I don't want to say a super team because they're definitely not a super team, but they're like a balt big three with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal coming over. And it's like, it's not working. They could still potentially make the play-in in the Western Conference. They're a game under 500. I know their record coming up soon isn't very strong. Like, it's kind of a weaker record for them to go up against. So I guess there's a real chance they can get back into the playoffs. Now, can I see, like I said, I know it's not the craziest schedule ahead. They have the Hornets today, 9 o'clock tonight as I'm recording this. But they lost to the Hornets the other day, so I don't know. Then they play the Wizards, should be an easier game. They do play the Cavs then, who right now are the hottest team in the entire league. They just beat the OKC Thunder the other night. That was a phenomenal game. Then they play the Wizards again. Then the Timberwolves are still in a weird spot. The Trailblazers not good. The Thunder, obviously one of the best teams in the league. Nuggets, Rockets, Grizzlies, Pelicans. So they have a couple layup games. I say layup in a sense, but like a few games here they should win that gets them over 500 and probably back into the play-in because I think right now, like I said, they're the 11th seed, but they're not that far out of the 10 seed. The Warriors are the 10 seed right now, and currently they are a half a game behind the Warriors. The Warriors have lost. They lost the last one, 19-19. The Suns are 18-19. So they're still real world, and the Kings have been really, really good. Like 6-1 since Doug Christie's taken over as head coach from Mike Brown. I don't know. Do I expect the Clippers maybe to hold the 7th seed the whole season? I don't know. Kawhi Leonard's back. I know he came back and is now taking some time off for the LA Fires, and I just want to go ahead and send out my prayers for anybody that's in the LA area or just being affected by the fires. It's a really bad thing. It's a really awful thing, and they're struggling to take care of it. It's only like 8 or 9% contained the last I saw. Maybe it's different now as this gets released, but it's a scary situation, and I know there's a lot of politics going around it, which it sucks because people are losing their childhood homes, all their family memorials, and like moments they've gotten, they've had since they've grown up, and it turned into politics. But it's the way the world is now, man. The Suns, I don't know. There's a real, if I'm in Matt Ishbia's shoes, this is tough, but you might just have to trade Kevin Durant. You might just have to trade Devin Booker and say, hey, listen, Bradley Beal, we can't move you because of your contract, and you got to try to get some first round picks back. You got to try to, I don't know, you got to try to hit on some draft picks. They're in a really, really weird spot because they should be good with a couple of the pieces they have on the team. It's just the supporting cast is probably one of the worst in basketball. So now we're jumping into the fan question of the week, and this week is going to be from Levi. Do you think the Wizards have the pieces to contend in the East in the next 3 to 6 years? Now, 3 to 6 years is a bit of a gap. I'm going to say compete as in, I'm taking that as in like winning the Eastern Conference or like being a top 3 or 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. And I'm going to say no, they do not have the pieces. This is a team that they just drafted Alex Sarr second overall. They got a young Bilal Coulibaly in his second season. Bub Carrington, they drafted in this year. Kaishan or Keyshawn? I think it's Kaishan George. They drafted this year. Other than that, not a lot of good pieces. Like Jordan Poole, we know like he's having a pretty damn good season, but like is he a full-time starting point guard for like the next 5 years? I don't know. Kyle Kuzma should have been gone last season, but is still on the team. They're going to look and do whatever they can to try to trade Kyle Kuzma, and I don't think your return value is going to be very, very good because he has not been very, very good. Jonas Valanciunas is probably off the team this year at the trade deadline. Again, I don't know what kind of value you're going to get from him. Maybe a protected first-round pick. Jared Butler, maybe, whatever. Malcolm Brogdon, again, a guy that's probably not going to have very much trade value. It's a good veteran on the team to have, but like trade value wise, probably not much of anything. Corey Kispert can go on hot streaks. He was on a hot streak that time. We went to the Hornets game like a week before Christmas, and he had like 8 straight points himself. That was pretty cool. Justin Champagnie he's had his really, really good moments, and maybe he's a guy that kind of carves out himself in that rotation for the future. Johnny Davis, not going to happen. Sadiq Bey, not going to be there long term. Marvin Bagley, no. Tristan Vucevic, maybe is it Vucevic? Whatever. Tristan, probably not going to be there for long term. Same with Rashawn Holmes, Patrick Bowden. They just don't have a lot of pieces going forward. You're basically hoping Alex Sarr can take an offensive jump because right now his offensive game is not very good at all. You're hoping Bilal Coulibaly can also take an offensive jump. Bub Carrington, you hope can round himself out into a true starting point guard. And then like Kaishan George, you're hoping he can just kind of develop into like a solid rotational player. I don't know if he's ever going to be a high-level starter at all. And it's like, they don't have a lot of young pieces. Sure, they're going to have probably a top 5 pick, no doubt, in this draft. But, like, you bring in Ace Bailey, a Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper. It's going to help the team. Sure. But they just don't have the role players to help their young guys right now. And, like, I just don't see a direction with this team. They still have a lot of pieces they need to trade, but they waited a year or two too late on a couple of these pieces where they're just not going to have the trade value that they once did. I just don't see this team being out of the bottom 5 in the East anytime soon. Like I said, maybe by year 5 or 6 of this, because you said 3 to 6, maybe they're in a play-in spot. Maybe they have another couple good draft picks coming, and that's a very, very good possibility. But this team is one of the few teams in the NBA that I feel like, I don't want to say has no direction, because they Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, Bub Carrington, Kaishan George, like they're trying to develop themselves. I think they're going to try to develop themselves as a defensive-minded team with Bilal, with Alex Sarr, with hopefully Kaishan George. And Bub Carrington's not exactly a great defender, but, he's a guy that can score for you. I'm assuming they're going to try to do that, but I don't think it's going to result in wins anytime soon. Again, Jordan Poole being your starting point guard, having a very, very good season, I just don't think that's enough to make, you're not making the playoffs anytime soon. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. The first 2 weeks of 2025 has been great. People are watching my channel, subscribing. It's been one of the best starts to the months I've had ever, I think, in my YouTube career. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Please go down and like, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to hit 500 subs, 1,000 maybe by the end of the year. We don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of fun, though. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.